Hello and good morning. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.tv. BOLES.tv. Beautiful day in the tri-state area, New York City, 55 degrees, sunny skies. Next week is going to be very cold. And it's Friday, and we are here with you live. Every day so far, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, and we talk about all kinds of things. The human condition, what's going on in the news, disability ideas, methods of thriving and coping, and we just try to get through the day with you together. So yesterday, I spent half the show complaining about I couldn't see anything. And I put on my reading glasses, and honestly, it didn't make any difference. I still couldn't really see anything. It made things a little bit bigger, but it was still blurry and very confusing. And yesterday was a busy day. I wrote a Boles Blogs article. I guess I should show you because I'm very proud of how it turned out. I wrote this article that I discussed yesterday on the live stream, Everything Connects, about YouTube age restricting the news. And I love having my NFTs as my banners on Boles Blogs. So this is all the blah, blah, blah. Here's the letter from YouTube. Here's the podcast and also the live broadcast that YouTube did not censor about William Hurt raping Marley Madeline. I guess that's just fine for children. But if you talk about a subway shooting, oh, that's off limits. That they can't see. And here's my famous video. Ooh, age restricted, only available on YouTube. Have to be logged in to watch it. And here's my reply to the takedown notice. And here is the, after carefully reviewing your answer, your appeal. Over an entire 45 seconds, we've decided we're not undoing you. And so then this is my conclusion. So I wrote that yesterday without being able to see, out of one eye, and that's my close-up eye, so I had to use my distance eye. And then I also wrote this article, which is a little Phil Maffetone. Is a very interesting guy. He's a little odd. And why is this not coming up? Something's going on. Libsyn was down all morning, and now it looks like this is down too. Weird. Weird. I don't like it. Okay. There's the blog. The blog is somewhere in here. And this is the article with the big fat belly and how COVID-19 is a syndemic of being overfat. It's Phil's take, which I find a little wild. But hey, it's his idea. He's a research magnet. And I think he's very interesting. Although I'm not sure I always agree with him. And here we go. I wrote that too. Couldn't see anything. So, as we are often not wont to do, I tried to be reflective yesterday and said, at the end of the day, after I had done all of my work and couldn't see anything, oh, Gordon, you can't post a link. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know why. I don't know if I can give you some kind of power that will let you post a link. But we will work on that. That's a bot. That's not me. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, what happened? What couldn't I see all day yesterday? And then I sort of started remembering that about once every 3 months, which is how long a box of contacts lasts that we buy, there's always one or two in the box. Your link was to Boles.tv. I love that. And were you trying to show us something? That there is always one contact or two in a box that's wonky. Now, it used to be with the contacts when you first started using them and they were soft. You would always open it and see if they were turned inside or outside, and then you put it in your eye, and if it didn't feel right, you'd take it out of your eye, you re-wet it, flip it inside and outside. Gordon says, I was saying I entered a URL and went to a different tab, couldn't hear you until 10 minutes later when I checked back after I realized I hadn't been hearing you. Well, that is wild. And I hope you can hear. You can always join our Discord server there where you can hear me because I'm broadcasting there too. And when I say Discord server, I mean wah. Live chat available. And also, there is a text chat transcription in the Boles TV streaming text chat area where you can read what's going on later, even after the show's long over. You can go back, and if you don't have access to the video, you can sort of read the translation. It's not perfect, but as my beautiful wife Jan Marie says, it's better than nothing. So with the newer contacts, you can just sort of, I've learned to take it that they have been machined, created correctly, where you can just open the thing, put it in your eye, and 99.9% of the time, they are going in the right direction and they fit. And yesterday when I woke up around 4:30, I put my contacts in the first thing in the morning because I can't see anything. And I noticed that the one from my left eye was a little oblong. And sometimes that's a bad thing, and sometimes it doesn't mean anything. And I saw it, and I thought, well, I'll put it in and see what happens. And I put it in, and then you check. Okay, it's working, I can see. Put in the other one, fine. From then on, I could not see out of my right eye the rest of the day. Now, I test it. You walk around with one eye closed. Well, I can kind of see. But then when it comes time to read something, it's all blurry. So what I should have done, and that I have done in the past, even though each contact is about $3 each, I should have just said to myself, let's see what happens. Take them out, put in new ones, and see if you can see again. And Jana sometimes has trouble with her contacts where she says, oh, my eye is scratchy. And I said, well, maybe there's something weird with your contacts. She goes, takes it out, puts in a new one, and she's fine. I didn't pay attention to history, and I preferred to suffer all day yesterday for no reason except that I wasn't smart enough to take a moment and just sit down and say, well, what could be the reason that you can't see? And I figured this all out like around 4 o'clock. And I take out my contacts like at 8 o'clock. And I said, well, I'm not putting in a new contact for 4 hours because I've done all the work. And now this morning, new contacts, see everything perfectly. It's very bizarre. So if there's one thing that really sort of disappoints and bothers me, are not just prank shows. Hidden camera shows, I loathe them. Even way back into the 50s in Canon camera, because they take advantage of kind people. Mean people, you don't see on the show. Mean people who punch you, who yell at you, they don't make the show. It's the nice people who are willing to be bothered and to try to help you, who then get made fun of. And Impractical Jokers, Candid Camera, these ridiculous prank shows you see on TV. And there was a documentary the other day I saw on YouTube where they talked about the prank culture and interviewed these people who would set up viral videos and prank videos and trying to top one another so they could get views on YouTube so they could make money. And finally, they said after a point when you saw a prank video, you just knew it was all fake. Everyone was involved in it and it wasn't a surprise. So yesterday, Jana was in Greenwich Village, Washington Square Park. She said they planted beautiful yellow flowers, even though it was raining. The fountain was on for the first time ever, and it was 81 degrees in New York. It was very hot. She said there was this guy kind of wandering around Washington Square Park, and he was holding a sign. And I said, take a picture, send it to me. And she said, oh, he cheated on his girlfriend, and he's feeling bad about it. And I said, send me a picture. So she did, and this is the picture that she sent me, and frankly, If you've been around a while, this is just, in my opinion, sort of ridiculous and dumb and outrageous. So this is the guy wearing sunglasses, clearly looking at his phone behind his sign. A sign that says, cheated my girlfriend on this new dating app called Hangoo. This is my penalty. P.S. Do not recommend. Now, I'm sure that probably 80 to 90% of the people who saw this said, oh, that poor guy cheated on his girlfriend, and now to get back at him, I guess, she's making him walk around with this ridiculous sign. Well, I call this really bad, ridiculous, stupid, viral advertising. It's not necessarily a video because he's not making a video, but it's obviously a promotion for that ridiculous dating site. So you'd go there and check it out and see, what tempted him on that site to cheat on his girlfriend. There must be really beautiful women there. So we have to not always believe what we see. Sometimes we can question what occurs and what happens. Very disappointed. So here's what's going on in New Jersey on April 21st. You can go into a pot store and buy the pot, the Mary Jane, the ditchweed, the evil smoke, legally in New Jersey. Now, we already have a pot problem in New Jersey and New York where everywhere you go, it smells of the terrible smell of burnt weed. Now, I admit, if people are going to be addicted to cocaine or heroin or meth or weed, please be weed. Because weed pretty much mellows people out. They're very calm. Whereas meth and speed and coke and ice and all that other stuff just cracks people up and makes them crazy. But there's a problem. We live in a no-smoking building. You cannot smoke a cigarette in this building. And if you do, you are immediately terminated on your contract and your lease, and you're thrown out of the building. And that includes the marijuana, the Mary Jane. Allegedly, because it's not true. There's pot everywhere. And I guess what these people are cleverly doing, cynically doing, is saying, oh, this is medical marijuana. I have glaucoma. I have anxiety. I have a doctor's note. So here's my doctor's note, and I can smoke all the pot I want. You can't do anything about it. You can't throw me in the street because it's discrimination. And it's been really bad. And now, April 21st, it's going to get even worse because then it's like super legalized. And anybody can go out there and get the ditchweed. And the way they've been getting around it, hey, Mr. Gordon. Gordon says there is a ridiculous reality Facebook video series of a woman being very rude to her husband, who she then goes out of her way to refer to as her Italian husband. Example, I take my Italian husband to Olive Garden. He grew up with Italian food. It's so funny how he hates the dreck they serve. Yeah, I don't understand what the point of these viral videos are, unless you're getting paid, and this dating app, they're getting paid. They're probably getting paid by Olive Garden to make fun of it. And you know that viral videos were over as a thing when they made an appearance on The Apprentice with Donald Trump, 20 years ago, 15 years ago? And one of the assignments was to create a viral video. Now, here's the problem. If you set out to create a viral video, it's not a viral video. A viral video is something that is just released and takes a life of its own and becomes propagated. Not through a business, not through advertising. And I think one of the most interesting ones that I've seen lately, and we're glitching a little bit, is, Twitch has been very twitchy lately, Let me think this. And this, what I would call, is the ultimate viral video, if I can find it, because it was natural. At least in the beginning, it was. I think this is it. I can't play the sound because I'll get in trouble and I'll get a DCMCA hit from Twitch and YouTube. This one. The Cranberry skateboarding guy. Where he is skateboarding to Fleetwood Mac and Dreams. And he just released this on his own. He wasn't paid by the Cranberry people. He wasn't looking to get any money. He was just out there, and people can tell if it's genuine or if it's fake. And this has over 2 million views on YouTube. And he's singing along, and then after that he got a car, and he got paid by the Cranberry people, and that's how you know that it was genuine. Owen Gordon says, like that kid yodeling in Walmart. He hopefully just felt like yodeling there one day. Yeah, I think whenever you see these viral videos that claim to be viral videos, you have to ask, why is the camera there? And who's taking a photograph? Who is recording this and why? Now, that guy on the skateboard, you can tell he's holding his hand out. He's recording himself. Okay, that I find genuine. Now, a kid yodeling in Walmart means somebody is there videoing him. For what reason and what purpose? I find it suspicious. Just like the viral video of the young boy helping the old woman up the stairs. Oh, isn't he sweet to help her? And I'm thinking, well, his mother is right there, 2 feet away, clearly told him to go help her so she could take a video of it and put it on the internet and get credit. Credit for raising such a wonderful son. So far, until April 21st, the way that these marijuana stores have been getting away with selling marijuana without being able to legally sell marijuana, because you can give things away. You can give it to a friend. If I have pot, I can give you pot. So what they do is you go into these places and you say, I'll take the $60 burrito. And it comes with a free gift, right? Wink, wink. Yes, and the free gift is a gram of Mary Jane. Whatever, I don't even know the sizes. Whatever you get for $60. So that's how they do it. That's how they've been getting around it. Oh, no, we're not selling weed. We're selling burritos. I mean, people are just very clever. They just get around anything they want to get around. And Jen and I had a conversation about this last night, that life is a game. And the sooner that people can realize that, it doesn't mean you have to cheat. But you have to realize that people are playing you to play themselves. What's the system? The law is a game. Crime is a game. Living a right life is also a game. And you have to know how you're going to handle it. And one interesting thing, talking about games and religion and belonging, is today is Good Friday. Passover is here or on its way. And in New Jersey, Good Friday is a state holiday. Yay, everybody's off. We're not working in New Jersey. In New York State, Good Friday is not a holiday. Oh no, we have to work. Gordon says Passover starts tonight. Good. I love that. I love the celebration of people. So it's so fascinating how right here, holiday. Nobody works. Over here, oh yes, you're working today. That is very interesting to me. And I don't know if it's because it's religious in New York State, so they don't want to give the day off. But New Jersey doesn't care, you can have the day off. Doesn't make any sense to me. So yesterday, we're going to take a break in a second, but I'll start this because it's brief and it's sort of interesting. I enjoy, I guess we say, collecting NFTs. And the price of Ethereum currently is $3,000, which is down. Very down. Yesterday it was sort of down. Today it's a little farther down. But it'll come back. Somebody said that Bitcoin's currently at 40,000. And somebody I read, expert, said by the end of the year, one Bitcoin is going to be worth $100,000. I believe that's possible. I don't believe it's possible by the end of the year. Because we have hard times coming this summer. And we have an election. Gas, it's high, $41. Gas has been high lately the last few days. Oh, now it's down to $24 if I refresh. It's supposed to instantly refresh every 12 seconds. And that's the clue. If you want to buy something and the gas is high, cancel it, go back, start it again. The gas will be lower. Usually lower. So I usually get my NFTs from OpenSea because has been the major portal, but that's not going to change with Coinbase opening up an NFT. And there's a place called Known Origin. And they have very unique NFTs, and some of them are reasonably priced. And they have an association with Life magazine. And if you're young, you probably don't know what Life magazine is or what Look magazine was. But it was based on great writing and wonderful, wonderful photography. So for the low price yesterday of around $300, you could purchase this NFT. It's one of 100, which I never buy. But I did because this reminds me of all my roots. Whoops! I hit the wrong button. I blanked myself out. It's mechanical. It's urban. It's semiotic. It's angles. I just think it's delicious. A workman crawls inside a giant pipe segment. The pipe, divided by lattice-like support struts, were used to divert the flow of the Missouri River during the construction of the Fort Peck Dam. And you could buy, and they had a countdown clock, and at 3 p.m. yesterday, you could buy the first one. And I was actually the first one who bought one. I think there have been a couple of other people after me who bought one too. So this is now part of my collection. And you were supposed to, there's unlockable content, as you can see right here. Unlockable. And I tried to unlock it and there was no content. So I've asked about it. And they haven't replied. Now, I don't know how they're going to fix that because when you create an NFT, it comes with a contract. It's there. They can't open up this contract and change it and add the unlockable content. Because it's there and finished. So are they going to have to make another piece that's unlockable as content for people who bought this but didn't get it? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Now, some of these images are great, but a little ridiculous in price. Like this one from this lovely woman. One of 4. You can buy it right now for 2 Ethereum. $6,000. That's not my thing. If I can get something for a very good price, under $300, that's interesting, that means something to me, it's worth it. Now, here's another one that I saw yesterday as well. Didn't touch me in the same way that the angles and the cabling did. This is another one of 100 from Montana. Buy now. 300 Smackerinos. I like it, but it doesn't speak to me in the same way. And they also do like Life magazine covers that you can buy. They're very exclusive, but super duper expensive. Like this one. I really love this one. This is the woman who climbed all these skyscrapers in Manhattan as it was being built, and she took all these great photographs for Life magazine. And then she took a picture of herself, a selfie. There's her camera. Fabulous. I love it. I want it. $15,000. At least I believe it's a one of one. Yeah, it's a one of one. Now, do you remember that Sabette piece that I showed you the other day that was selling for $30,000, a one of one with a sad, beautiful woman face? I said, $30,000? For a Sabette one of one, okay, but $30,000. How would you move $30,000 into a Coinbase account? And I think, well, other people pay, $1.5 million in their Ethereum wallets. And today it sold. Somebody was online thanking Sabette. I'll have enjoyed this for the rest of my life, and I'm now the owner of a one of one of Sabette for $30,000. I congratulated the guy. And that's called putting your money where your mouth is. And I could tell that he's the kind of guy who is not going to try to flip it. And I think it would be kind of hard to flip something like that. But it was a very interesting piece. I admire him for having the perception and the insight to say, look, $30,000 is a lot of money to some people, but I'm going to spend it, and maybe in 5 years it'll be worth double. And I think it probably could. And now we're taking a very brief blood pressure break. Back in a moment. Off? Yeah. I want the add button. Okay, next. And we're back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, as we try to make sense of this interesting and confusing and confounding world in which we find ourselves spinning. So, we're sort of getting used to, I guess, living with the idea of COVID. And the recommendations from the CDC have changed over time. Now, we always have known that the N95 mask was the mask to have because it protected people better than other masks like the KN95 or the neck gaither or whatever. There's a guy sort of in our building who has a health food store, right? All about health, doing the right thing. And all through the pandemic, he refused to wear a mask. And what he would do, and I have not spoken to him since he started doing this, and he has a young son and a wife. He would not wear a mask, but when he would come into the building where you had to wear a mask, or if he saw you on the street, he would simply do this. And walk around, thinking that that's a mask. I don't know if he's trying to be funny or what, but I always thought he was kind of a serious athlete kind of guy who likes marathons, and then he's behaving like that. And his wife would not, will not, does not wear masks when they were required in the building. And you go in the elevator with her and everyone's wearing a mask, not her, and she's just smiling. She's so happy. I have the power. My husband is in the health food store in the building. I don't have to wear a mask. I'm exempt. Oh boy, those kind of people just really make your blood boil. So you're trying to do the right thing and protect people that you love, and you can't get an N95 mask to save your life. Because you go to Uline, eBay, Amazon, wherever you can. N95 masks for a year and a half were forbidden to be sold to the public. You had to be a health professional. You had to work in a hospital, and the hospital had to order the N95 mask for you if you wanted to be protected. And then people started getting vaccinated, and production went up, and all of a sudden, about 6-8 months ago, the CDC said, oh, no. The only mask you should wear is an N95. All the other masks are no good. They won't protect you from Omicron B. That's the angle that they used. Oh yeah, it was fine on the original, but not on Omicron B. You need an N95. And I understand why they're doing that, because they couldn't say that at the start of the pandemic because they couldn't get them to people. So it's pretty much they say surgical mask or an N95 mask. So then there's a mad scramble to get N95 masks. And you want to buy them in the USA because there are 3 standards for masks. There is the N95, which is the American standard for protection. It does not loop around your ear. It has 2 straps on your face. There is the KN95 mask, which does loop around the ear, and is the Chinese top mask. So if you buy a KN95 mask, the chances are it's made in China, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but if you want a USA mask, it's probably going to be N95. And then there's also the KF94, which looks almost exactly like the KN95, but that is the Korean standard for top-level mask protection. But none of the Ks are ever really as good as the N95s because the N95s rely on special microfibers to protect you. So for the longest time, we wore cloth masks, and then we switched over to the KN95 because you could kind of get those. And we had black KN95 masks. This is a KN95 mask. We no longer wear these, but I do save one for demonstration purposes. And it goes like this, right? No nose pad protection, just a metal bar. And it goes around your ear, which is terrible because it hurts your ears if you have a big fat face like I do, or if you have hearing aids that loop around the back of your ear. This thing tugs on it and bends the wire. So a lot of deaf people had a very, very hard time during the pandemic. They would usually take off their hearing aids to put on a mask, and then they couldn't really hear or survive. So and we've talked about this before, there's a organization called Project 95 that came out and said, hey, we're buying these N95 masks, that's what we're called Project 95, easier for you as a person, because most of our stuff here is made in the USA, and it's a one-stop shop. And every couple of weeks, they send me an email saying, hey, here's our new stuff if you want to come look at it. So I came and looked at it. So they have KF95, 94s, because some people don't need the N95. And it's a good place to go. Now, this is our KN95 mask, which I've talked about many times before here. And it sounds like styrofoam, sort of. It's not terrible. You can wear it all day. You can sort of breathe. I'll put it on. And I have a big head, so this is very painful. But we do anything for the show, right? Bands are rubber. This, over, back, here, hold, push. Okay. And if you want to eat, you got to put this down and then drink and then put it back. So, that is the first version of the N95 mask that we purchased. And I try to be a careful shopper. Buying these on the Project 95 website was a little expensive, but if you go to the Shawmut website, they were giving like 20% off your first order. So I ordered boxes and boxes of these. They were very affordable. And they arrived. And someone who is required to wear a mask like this, and who wants to wear an N95 mask like this, someone who may be telecommuting from home today, that someone said, I'm not wearing that. Because that someone had been used to be wearing this. Which is very New York and very hepcat, right? And this person may have said to me, it's ugly. I'm not wearing that 8 hours a day. And I may have said to that person, well, we don't really have a choice right now because Omicron B, and this is an N95 mask, and you really can't get them. They're in short supply, so if you could maybe just wear it a little while. Okay. And this person went along with it. Unhappily, but went along with it. And then one of this person's friends at work came up and said, why are you wearing that ugly mask? It's so ugly, it's white. And this person explained N95, KN95, but it's so ugly. So for about 4 months, this has been the mask of choice. Which concerned me because if you don't like a mask, you're not going to wear the mask. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? This doesn't like the mask. And I checked out some other N95 masks. They were like duckbill, ugly, but light blue. There was a gray. And then I get an email from Project 95. They said, hey, sort of suggesting that we know the N95 masks are really ugly. So here are some new masks that we found. Why don't you try them? So I immediately said, this might make a difference. So I found this on the Project 95 website. Demitech. And as a good researcher, I went to the Dematec website, and this box of 20 was $75 on their website. And 95. And I said to myself, that's a lot of money. They're offering 20% off, but that's still a lot of money. So I went back to the Project 95 website, and they were selling this same exact box, I believe, for $35. And I thought, well, that seems like a deal. Now, this person who remains unnamed has to wear a mask every single day. So that's 5 masks a week, and you can only wear an N95 mask once a day. You can try to clean them, but it has to be UV light. It's easier just to be safe, not reuse them, although everybody reuses them. We don't reuse them. As soon as there's a box of Sabet N95s, it'll cost 1 Ethereum. Now that's genius. I wonder if he's working on that. That would be fantastically wild. And Sabet comes off maybe, a little bit greedy, but he really does give people good prices. There are other artists who, charge base for one thing, 1 Ethereum. I don't know how people afford it. So I clicked the button on the Project 95, ordered a couple of boxes just to see how they would work, because a box like this maybe would last that unknown person maybe a month, because that unknown person does telecommute a little bit. And here's the thing. Now, this ugly this very beautiful. Now, this is not just blue, like, surgical mask blue. This, and you probably can't see it on this stream, is a beautiful robin's egg blue. I would say it's stylish. Now, this mask has very painful rubber bands, and they snap on your face, and they make you sweat. This looks like a KN95, almost exactly the same, but it's not. 2 loops, 1 loop around the ear. All right? Inside, different structure. The foamy nose guard. And a certain person, who is still remaining nameless, tried this on last night immediately and said, oh, this is better. I have not yet tried mine on. This is better. You can breathe a little bit better. It has a nice look. The test was yesterday. This unnamed person pulled this down, pretended to drink, had lunch, pretending. Approved. Now the problem is she wants to this every day. And we have boxes and boxes of these. And we have very few of these. But the key is, if it's ugly and they're not going to wear it, then it doesn't protect anything. So these are easier to read, easier to wear, sort of stylish. But I didn't stop there. See, these companies know that this is ugly. So they think, well, this COVID's not going away, right? And it's not. And people want to be protected, but they don't want to wear an ugly white. Mm-hmm. this was a score. Now, I thought this would be a bigger score than the Robin's Egg Blue. But in fact, it wasn't. There was a slight bit of complaining saying, I don't have anything pink to wear. And I said, pink goes with everything. Pink and blue. You have a lot of blue, black. Everything you own is black. Black and pink is gorgeous. Now, this is a very bright neon pink, which you probably can't see because of the lighting in the cameras. And these, my music stopped, of course, as it always does. I don't know why. So I have to play, stop, forward, and now it should play again. Now what I liked about these, the blue matches the blue. Strap is blue, the thing is blue. This pink has white straps, but they're stretchy and they're not rubber. So this was also tried on. And I thought the deal was going to be, I wear the blue when I need to, and this unnamed person would wear the pink. I don't think that's what's going to happen. The unnamed person likes the blue, which is fine. Eat, drink, works. I like this. And I actually look very, very good in pink. So maybe it's fine that she wants the blue and I'll have the pink. But I think she said she'll take both. So I'm probably going to be stuck with the ugly white ones, which is fine. But I love it that they're getting a little bit more stylish. They're responding to people. They don't want the ugly white. We also have black coming in N95, which will be very popular with the unnamed person. And they also have sort of a gray, and different companies have different colors. There's a gray, there's a dark gray. But if you want a little style, a little punch of color, you can't really go wrong with blue and pink. Perfect together. The ebony and ivory of the N95 world. Take your pick. Be safe. Go out in public. And there are people who still refuse to wear masks and who think the whole thing is ridiculous and that we're dumb. Well, that's fine. We're just going to stay over here and keep breathing and be protected and live our lives in the best possible way. And then when you teach ASL class or whatever, you have to have a clear mask, and that's a whole other thing. ASTM-I, which is almost equal to the N95, but it's thinner and cleaner. I like those too. We've shown those on the show before. And now it's that time again. We're going to take a very brief blood pressure break, and we shall return with more in a moment. And we are back from break. This is Boles.tv, BOLES.tv. I'm David Boles, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Well, it's interesting that so many people, young and old, think that they can get something for nothing. They find $100 on the street, they pocket it, they think that no one will miss it. And then they find out later that they've done the wrong thing, that they stole money that didn't belong to them. It's not finders keepers. That is not the law. And the same is becoming true for high school students who go to college and become now what is known as being a paid athlete. And this reminds me of people who work and live in New York City. Oh, Gordon just got a beautiful email from Target. Subject 3 words: eat more plants. I like that. And we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. And it has to do with meat structures, which doesn't sound right, but I guess when the meat is plant-based, then maybe it is. And these people who work in buildings, supers, staff, are always so excited to get a free apartment. And I have a friend who works security in one of the buildings around here, and he's so excited that when the new building is built, he's been told by management that he gets a free apartment. And he's, manages security, so he has to cover shifts. If there aren't people to cover them, he has to go in there and work a double, triple shift if he has to, because that's his job. That's what they pay him to do. And unfortunately, they just pay him an hourly wage. They will not put him on salary. But he says it's okay. It's $27 an hour. And he gets a lot of overtime. Okay. I would prefer to be on salary and get benefits and health insurance. But he's happy paying his own way. And I have not mentioned this to him yet because I don't want to prick his bubble, but I think maybe the next time he starts going on and on about this, I will say something, because he needs to realize there's no such thing as a free apartment. At least not when you're at this level of big manufacturing and building supervision. Now, maybe a one of one. You're in a small apartment building with 6 apartments and the super lives there free. Maybe you could get away with that. And what I mean is, if you are getting a free apartment as part of your deal to be a super or a maintenance guy or a security guy, the IRS sees that as a taxable benefit. So let's say you're not paying $5,000 a month for this luxury apartment, but you're living there. It's part of your job. And either you or your employer is going to report to the IRS that over the last year, at $5,000 a pop, you got a $60,000 bonus in free rent. And management can't say, we're only going to charge you $1 a month for rent. They have to charge you the going rate, the standard rate that all the other apartments of that size are being charged. So, you think you're getting away with $60,000 free and clear, are probably going to have to pony up, 30%? $20,000? In taxes and benefits on that free rent. It may not be the best deal. Now, the big supers in the big buildings who have done this all their lives have accountants who know how to hide things and move things, and you report this but not that. But a small super, a maintenance guy who's on an hourly wage, is not probably going to have access to that kind of financial thuggery to play the game with the IRS, to move around the money and to make it all make sense. So you think you're getting a great deal, but in the end, you better realize that you're going to owe the tax man something on that great deal. Which brings us right into our next topic, which I find absolutely thrilling and fascinating, and I have talked about this before. I did a podcast on this. With the Wall Street Journal, the newest phenomenon to Royal College sports: taxes. What? Well, here we go. There's something called NIL, which is name and likeness, which now student athletes are able to exploit as college players. Now, all of this used to be done under the table, and everyone knew it was being done, that students were getting paid to pick a school. Their families were getting paid to pick a school for these students to go and compete. And now it's all on top of the table, out in the open, and the universities do not want to make these student athletes employees. So they've come up with this ridiculous name and likeness, where outside entities can sponsor, pay off, buy off student athletes with bribes and gifts and sponsorship deals to go and stay at a certain university. Now, big universities like the University of Texas, they're very open about it. They need offensive linemen. They go to the best linemen in the country and say, we are Texas. You sign with us. We're going to get you sponsorship deals, wink, wink, from our donors that's going to pay you $250,000 a year. And it's all legal. Now, how do you compete with that? If you're, say, the University of Nebraska, where you have a very loyal program, but you don't have a lot of super-duper rich donors like the University of Texas. And there was one quarterback guy who came from, I believe, Texas Tech this year to Nebraska. He's experienced. He'll probably be the starting quarterback in the fall. And he very openly said, look, if you're playing at the University of Nebraska, the minimum you should be getting as a starting player on offense and defense is a deal worth $100,000. So you know he's getting at least $100,000 to go from Texas Tech to here, because he was also wanted by other universities. And he was up for grabs. He was up for bid. And somehow the university found the money to pay him, buy him off. And there are small, ridiculous name and likeness sponsorships in Nebraska. One is Runza Hut, where they give a Runza, which is beef in a bun, a sealed bun, to the lineman. There's a burrito place that gives the lineman free burritos. It's just ridiculous. The big money is now not under the table, on the table, and public knowledge. And it's going to ruin the game, I think, but other people say it's been ruining the game for 20 years. What are you talking about? This isn't anything new. But now that it's above the table and not below the table, well, guess who's interested in who's getting $100,000? The IRS. That's income. You're getting paid to play basketball and baseball at the university. And here's what the Wall Street Journal says. Audice Toney, a guard for the Arkansas Razorbacks last season, has a pasta dish named after him at Bordino's, a swanky Italian joint, Olive Garden, near campus in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's the kind of deal that college athletes can now strike on their own under a new rule that allows them to cash in on their name, image, and likeness, NIL. Toney acknowledged that it hadn't occurred to him that Uncle Sam would be taking a bite out of every plate of Cajun-inspired fettuccine with shrimp and wild boar sausage, a play on the university mascot, sold through the partnership. It's just a blessing to you to even have a pasta named after you, Tony said, who has used his earnings to make car payments. Tony's agent and these college kids who are not supposed to be professional players are getting paid, and they have agents. It's all a big scam. Tony's agent said the dish has been a hit, with more than 20 orders on its opening night. Audi's is a sneaky foodie. College basketball season may be over, but tax season is about to reach its climax. The NCAA changed its rules last summer to allow college athletes to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. As a result, thousands of college athletes with deals will be on the hook to file their own taxes this month, whether they are raking in six figures from a sponsorship or have meager income from social media posts. And our Gordon asks, have you heard of the new pasta shape called cascatelli? If not, wow, it's really good, as hyped, and you can get it at Trader Joe's for $3 a pack. I have not. Is it just the shape, or is it what it is made of? I guess I should look. Cascatelli. Everything you need to know about cascatelli. Cute. Looks like an earlobe. Now, I have learned to make this bigger because my resolution on my screen is so tiny. Let's see. New pasta shape cascatelli has been named one of Time Magazine's 100 Best Inventions of 2021. Cool. I'm frankly shocked by how good it is. It's really better than I ever expected. It's perfect. I just love the way it captured the sauce and snuggled it. Cascatelli. Cute. Now let's look it up. Cascatelli and Trader Joe. Now, I'm mentioning this, and that some other person who is sort of watching but not watching today is going to go buy this, so I got to make sure I get the right thing. Oh, and we did try the Georgian spice the other day, Mr. Gordon. It was absolutely delicious. Put on some vegetables, some corn, and some green beans. Just a little bit for me, a little bit more for Jan Marie. Delicious. Made all the difference in the world. Okay, because I have to get her a picture of it so she can put it on her phone and then go look for it. Organic Italian artisan pasta. Cute. So happy to hear that. Yes, I appreciate the recommendation very much. Now, is this the one, Gordon? Do I need to say, is this the picture that I need to share with the monster in the other room? I'll put it over and share it. I mean, save it just in case that is the one that I need. But it sounds fantastic. Ah, that is it. Ooh, and this is what it looks like. Cute. I'm going to save that picture too. I won't need a lot of convincing because she is maniacal for any kind of pasta. Pasta, potatoes, anything a little starchy. I boiled the first bag for 10 minutes. Directions say 11 or just until al dente. And I like my pasta on the firmer side. I like my pasta on the floppier side, I'll be honest. I think al dente is a little too chewy for me. My first impression was I could eat an entire bowl of this stuff as is. Wow. The texture is chewy but firm. Very tooth-sinkable. I like that a lot. And the noodle somehow has a buttery flavor to it. As we all know, butter is not in the list of ingredients. Oh, I see. It does. It cradles the sauce. I wish these photographs were a little more in focus. But who am I? Well, that's a great recommendation. I wish she were not telecommuting today because she could go to Trader Joe on the way home and then bring. Noted. So dealing with the Internal Revenue Service could come as a bit of a shock. Although name, image, and likeness is a wonderful thing, and it'll get figured out, there will be bumps in the road. And one of them is going to be April 18. Oh, I just think it's delightful. One lawyer said that he found the company in 2020 because he realized taxes would be a pain point in the new era for college athletes. So the more successful you are, the more money you get, the more you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam. That is going to be a painful, painful experience. So here's another fascination. Twisting Oreos shows cream filling sticks to one side. Now, as we discussed yesterday, I always find it just fascinating on what these researchers decide is important enough to spend money on and time and energy to research. Now, Oreos are vegan, so they're very popular, and they're an easy, delicious dessert, and the calories are not terrible. It's not nutritious, but it's not terribly damaging. Now, the question is that they're studying is, do you torque your Oreos to separate them? I just eat them like a cookie. I didn't know you're supposed to really separate them. Or do you pull them apart? Now, I didn't know you could pull apart an Oreo because, in my experience, pulling apart breaks it in half, at least one side in half. And I don't even like the frosting filling of the Oreo. I have someone else who does. So I kind of open my Oreos, I guess I twist, I torque, and scrape it off. Gordon says, well, now they have a very long, not vegan history that changed when the company wanted to appeal to Jewish customers. Well, there you go. You want more people. Behave. And then you can sell. So I like the cookie outside. I don't like the filling. The filling to me is just too much. And I don't even know what it is. It's not really frosting. So I, as a child, would just scrape it off and eat the cookie part. The cookie part I loved. So they actually spent money to figure this out, the perfect way to eat an Oreo. And why do I have a feeling that Oreo paid for this? Imagine the perfect way to eat an Oreo. Perhaps you twist the top layer, separating the cookie into two parts, and then eat them one by one. I don't know why this keeps changing. I'm not doing anything. Oh, that's very annoying. Or maybe you're just a rheologist who studies complex fluids. You snack on the cookie when you test its mechanical properties in the lab. Well, I have to go a little lower to get rid of this thing that keeps doing it. I had in my mind that if you twist the Oreos perfectly, you should split the cream perfectly in the middle. But what actually happens is the cream almost always comes off on one side. This is so bizarre how this keeps changing. There must be some ad that's running, but I have an ad blocker on, so there must be a video somewhere. Something's happening. Please stop moving. The author's invent. Maybe it's because I'm highlighting. I'll stop highlighting. The authors investigated the influence of milk, cookie flavor, amount of filling, and rotation rate on the final cream distribution. After being dipped in milk, the cookies degraded quickly. Oh, stop moving. Maybe is it this thing that keeps moving? Please stop. I don't know what you're doing. Close. Maybe that was it. Oh, it's still moving. So the cream may stick consistently to one side. Oh my goodness, impossible to read. And depending on the rotation rate, they designed an open source 3D printed Oreo meter powered by rubber bands and coins. Oh, forget it. Now I'm all upset. And there's an original study, and you click on the original study, and the original study isn't there. So maybe this is all a hoax. Maybe this is some kind of terrible viral hoax that I've been put upon. I don't think so, but who knows? It's sort of ridiculous news. That filling used to have lard. Ugh. Gordon's right about that. Yeah, I never really was into Oreos. And then, you become maybe a little bit smarter, and you start realizing, oh, look at that. Oreos are now vegan. For whatever reason, I'm delighted. I don't think I'm going to eat them. But it's nice to have something there that's a little more interesting. A little more interesting to eat. Until 1998. Wow. That's a long time to have lard. And it's interesting they don't call it a frosting. They call it a filling. Which does make you wonder what exactly is in there. And maybe we don't want to know. Final break. Brief. Coming right back. Playing ads. And we're back live on Boles.tv, BOLES.tv, video on demand on Twitch, as well as on YouTube at BOLES.live, Boles.live. And we're here Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, chatting about things, trying to figure out the world around us, and making sense of a chaotic world. Well, we've had a great show so far, and we're going to end with a couple of very interesting news articles, and one of them is just totally annoying. It's a wonderful, fascinating topic, but I'm going to show you why it's annoying. And it's because why we were just annoyed. This is the great article. The stake is the limit. Growth of muscle tissue on a plant-based scaffold makes another milestone in the development of cultivated meat using 3D bioprinting. Okay, fascinating. I want to talk about it for 20 minutes. I want to read the article. And for some reason, on the previous article about Oreo twerking, and on this, they have chosen to include this animated slides that I cannot turn off. They just keep moving. So I come down here to start reading our wonderful story. And the whole formatting of the page is going to change as I start reading it. And I tested this on the break, and it's doing exactly the same thing. It makes me so furious. Well, I'll read as much as I can to see before the scene changes. The successful creation of edible muscle fibers by bioprinting. And this is a news site for journalists. Please share our articles. Okay. I'm trying to. Now, luckily, this one, which I'm not going to read, has the research report. The other Oreo twerking had a research report link, but it went nowhere. So I'm going to put this in chat, so if someone wants more information about 3D printing plant, which is fantastic, but it's illegible to read on the live stream. 3D plant printing. And there is the article. It is very complex and very scientific, as they say. We'll see if we can find the conclusion. And it's really interesting. And the debate is this vegan? Is this acceptable? And there are probably a lot of vegans who would say, no, because it's based on an idea of meat. We don't want it. In this work, these solutions were tested for their ability to be flexibly processed into a 3D printed, non-animal derived nutritious scaffolds for cultivated meat production, ideally to mimic thick, fresh meat, fibrous, nutritious scaffolds which possess well-defined porous architectures supportive of multi-cell type cultivation are necessary. As the currently emerging bath-based 3D printing technique makes a promising candidate for this type of ... Gordon asks, why are the abstracts so very dense and difficult for the typical person on the street to read, if not impossible for some? I completely agree with you. I don't like it. That's why they have the PR press release where they dumb it down for the rest of us, and then they usually link to the scientific study. And I'm reminded when I got one of my first attorneys in New York City, and I was talking to the receptionist. And I asked her, why can't these just be written in a plain, understandable language, these contracts? I mean, I understood it, but it was just unnecessarily complicated. And she looked at me and she said, well, these contracts are written in legalese. And legalese is an insider language, and you go to law school to learn how to type it and read it and use it. And she said, if everybody could write in legalese, then why do you need a lawyer? Why do you need a lawyer to interpret for you? And I thought, well, that's interesting. Probably the same thing going on here. If everybody could read this scientific thing and understand what the heck it meant, and I have some great articles from the New England Journal of Medicine that I read and want to share, but they're so complex that I haven't quite figured out a way to share them without just putting people to sleep. And so they'll say, well, this is for research people. These are for scientists. These are for people with PhDs who need to understand what's going on. And I say, like Gordon, why can't you just, write it simply so we can all understand it? And it can still be a scholarly article. It can still have references. But why does the language have to be so dense and highfalutin and confounding? Doesn't make sense. Finally today, this is also another fascination of mine. Higher education. And the big question is, and the Wall Street Journal is asking it, why are Columbia University... Oh, here's Gordon first. The funny thing about legalese is that you need it when arguing in front of a judge and when rebutting the opposing counsel. But ultimately, you need to speak human to sell the jury on your point. All 12 need to understand you. That's very true. And Jerry Spence, the lawyer who would wear leather and fringe in the courtroom and wear a great big hat from Wyoming, I believe. His whole thing, he would come in to a courtroom and say, I'm just a country bumpkin. I'm just a country lawyer. And I believe he was suing Penthouse at the time. And Bob Guccione was in there as the defendant, I believe. And Bob Guccione was, I think it was a New York courtroom, and he was dressed in a blue velvet suit. And in Jerry Spence's opening remarks, he said, look, I'm just a country lawyer. I don't know anything about anything. But that man over there in the blue velvet suit, well, he's not like me. He's not like you. And I'm going to tell you why. And he won the case. And at the end, his famous thing, Jerry Spence would always say, summation to the jury. Very dramatically, he would go to them wearing his fringe and his cowboy boots, and he would say, the decision is now yours. The bird is in your hand, and there are two choices you have to make. You can crush the bird and kill it, or you can open your hands and let the bird fly free. The decision is yours. The decision is in your hands, and may you make the right decision. And then he would say, whenever he would use that in court, if he was trying to say, crush Bob Guccione, crush him. It's in your hands. Or if he were defending somebody, he'd say, the decision is yours. Let my client go free. The decision is in your hands. Beautiful. Artwork. Drama. That's what we need in the courtroom. And years later, Bob Guccione would say, that MFer making fun of my $5,000 suit in court, what does that have to do with anything? It was a beautiful suit. And you're thinking, Bob, you still don't get it. You didn't fit. He didn't fit. He comes in and says, look, I'm in a New York courtroom. I'm a country bumpkin lawyer. I don't fit here. I have a bird in my hand. What am I doing here? Well, I'm here because of that man in the blue velvet suit. You open the door. Just come in and wear a regular suit, Bob. That's what they say about car salesmen. And I have car salesmen in my family. They say if you're a car salesman, wherever you are, a used car salesman especially, and it's a stereotype, but it's a stereotype because it's true. You don't wear a suit. You don't wear a tie. You don't wear nice clothes. You match the people who are coming into your store. You dress down. You wear seersucker pants in the South. You might have a collared shirt on, but it's unbuttoned down to here. You look like the stereotype of the country bumpkin who doesn't know how to sell a car, and you're actually a millionaire, and you don't dress like a millionaire. You dress like the people you were trying to sell the car to. That's genius. And there are defense lawyers in New York who meet with defendants who don't know anything. They're sort of uneducated. And the lawyer says, come into my office, bring your mother. And he says, look, you're going to be in court. You're not going to testify. I'm defending you. But you have to look right. And you don't look right. You got to fit in. You cannot be scary. So you're going to do everything I say or I'm not going to represent you. You get your hair cut. You get a white shirt, a collared dress shirt. Go to Goodwill if you have to. And mother's writing all this down. Mother, make sure this happens. You don't want your baby to go to jail. I want you to get a red tie. I want you to get a blue blazer. I want you to get khaki pants. I want you to get nice shoes that are leather and perhaps shiny. I want you to sit up in court, and I want you to slouch. I want you to have a neutral expression on your face. I want you to smile every once in a while at the jury, acknowledge them, nod your head. If something upsets you, don't get upset. Just come to me, write it down, take notes. This is what O.J. Simpson did. Write notes, take notes, give it to me, I'll work it out. You have to fit in. You cannot be other. You have to look like you're an established person and you are a member of the community and you're respected even though you killed 3 people and ran over 3 with your car. That is the theater of the law. Life is a game. You have to know how to play it. So we have some, I don't want to call them defections, but I sort of do. Columbia president is leaving. The Howard University president is leaving. And the New York University president is also leaving. They're all leaving at the same time. Now that's weird. And there are all kinds of jokes on the internet about how they're going to have a threesome and run away together, which I find funny. Columbia's Lee Bollinger is the 3rd Ivy League president this year to depart. And it's very interesting because Lee Bollinger has been there for, I believe, 20 years. He became president right after I left Columbia. And people were not happy with him. Why? He was an outsider. Good-looking guy. I think he was 54 at the time. And he was coming from the University of Michigan. Okay, Michigan's a Big Ten school, but Michigan is not Columbia. Michigan is not Ivy League. I'm not saying this, other people are saying this. How can we have some Creighton from the University of Michigan lead our institution at Columbia University? We're old money. NYU is new money. We're old money. And people hated him from the moment he got there, and they've hated him ever since. And he's been okay. And he is now, because of these 20 years, the 3rd longest serving president of Columbia University, which is shocking in itself. The 2 people ahead of him are Butler, who was the president of the university for 40 years. The main library is named after him, Butler Library. Big, gorgeous, wonderful architecture. Goes 6 feet into the ground. The 2nd longest serving president of the university Columbia University in the city of New York is Barnard. I don't know how long Barnard served, but it was fewer than 40 and more than 20. Let's say 30. And they named a college after him, Barnard College. So that's a pretty good company to be in if you're interested in higher education. To have a college named after you and to have a great big giant, the only big library on campus named after you. So what are they going to do with Bollinger? I don't know. Probably nothing. So Bollinger's out. But of course, I'm not going to be president, but I'm going to hang around. I'm going to study. I'm going to stay on the faculty. I'm going to stay on the payroll. Then there is Andrew Hamilton, who goes by the name of Andy. He announced on Wednesday he was leaving in a year. They're all leaving in a year. Well, we want to give the university a chance to find my replacement. And Andy said in his goodbye letter, very frankly, that one of the reasons he's leaving, I think he's been president for 8 years, but at the university for 20. And he's going to go back to being a chemistry professor and stay on salary. And Andy said, it's COVID that broke me. Having to deal with that wore me out in such a way that I can no longer continue. Now that's interesting and honest because NYU was a huge mess during COVID. It was a disaster. Because these big universities do not rely on donations, really. What they rely on for day-to-day is tuition. And if you have kids paying $60,000 a semester tuition, and they're not on campus, and they're doing Zoom calls from California, these kids begin to think, why am I paying $60,000 to be in California when I want to be in New York City? So there was a big push to open campus and to stay open, and then COVID's spiking and rising, and he's on call 24 hours a day. I understand why it wore him down and kicked him out. But I think there's also something else going on. In that tuition is rising. There is a student debt crisis in America. Kids want a free ride now. They do not want to pay anything. Enrollment is going down. Benefactors are going down. The age of the unlimited funds at a higher education institution are coming to an end because inflation's coming and Republicans are coming. It's going to be a miserable next 4 to 6 years. So why stay? You're 74 years old, you're 75. I'll just retire from presidency, but I'll keep my office and I'll hang around and I'll do a little bit of research and stay on the payroll. But the most terrible thing that NYU did to the city of New York, and this is new money, remember, they're new money, Columbia's old money, and they are so desperate to be in competition with Columbia that there has been, for the past 20 years, a dedicated effort to raze, R-A-Z-E, all of Greenwich Village. NYU wants to own everything. They want to own Washington Square Park. And they think they do, but they don't. It belongs to the city. But they tore down historic buildings. They condemned things. They need space for more students, for more dorms, so they can charge more tuition. They killed the Provincetown Playhouse. They tore it down, where Eugene O'Neill started, where some of the greatest actors in America started their lives at the Provincetown Playhouse. And NYU didn't care. Oh, we're preserving it. Well, they preserved it so much that they tore down a beautiful wall. Looking in the wrong place. Let me see if I can find it. So it's all just so cynical. You know, the world is just a cynical place, and it's all a game. Being a president of a university is a game. We try to find ways to win, get around it, and sometimes they say, you know, I've had enough of this game, so I'm just going to retire and you can pay me to sit here. Yeah, this is the article I wrote. March 16, 2012. And it made me sick then, and it makes me sick now. NYU raises Greenwich Village. If you care about history, if you care about New York, NYU ruined it on purpose by design. Because they have big money. That's where the donor money comes from, is to raise Greenwich Village in order to make it into your own image. Oh, and Mr. Gordon. Well, in having a fit, he's having a wonderful conversation. Gordon says, when you visit Weill Cornell Medical College, named after banker Sandy Weill, 1300 New York Avenue, one of the first things you see when you enter is a bust of Dr. George Papanicolaou, who not only came up with the pap smear, but spent 47 years teaching at what was then called Cornell University Medical College. Fun facts. Since 2019, all students who demonstrate financial need can attend WCMC sans debt. That is also true of NYU Langone. If you meet the criteria, they will pay for your medical degree, which is great, but if you're going to do that, why not give everybody free access? So here's a link in chat to my article about NYU ruining Greenwich Village. They took it all down. It's all just a mass of administrative buildings now. It's very sad. So we've had a wonderful week full of conversation and interesting anecdotes. We love having our friend Gordon join us. Such a big asset to the show, bringing up fascinating topics, changing the topic when necessary, bringing us back on point as necessary. And if you have any questions or comments, you can email me, david@boles.tv. On Twitter, you can super follow @DavidBoles. Facebook is BOLES. Instagram is Boles Books. TikTok is Boles TV. And our Discord server is new and ready for investigation. You can join, chat, now, later, whatever. Take a look at our transcript. It's still flowing. And this is it for the week. I thank you so much for being here. I wish you a good day, good morning, a good evening, and a wonderful nap. And when ye shall awaken, my hope for you is the blessing of joy in your soul. Take care. I will see you Monday.